everyone, Varun here from Language Academy.
Hope you all are doing well. In this video, I'll be covering the repeat sentence task from your speaking module. One of the very important tasks and one of the tasks in which a lot of students do struggle. So just a quick look of what all I'll go through in this video is I'll be covering your task description, that is what all is included in this task and what you have to do in this particular task, and then we'll move on to the marking criteria of this task, that is on what basis and what parameters are you awarded points in this particular task. Then we'll have a look at few of the tips and strategies, basically 4 different strategies which you can use to approach this task, and we'll also have a look at 2 different strategies whereby if you cannot recall anything from the audio, still how you can get points in your repeat sentence. Then finally we'll have a look at few of the very common mistakes a lot of students do make and you might be making as well. And finally we'll move on to some of the real practice exam questions. So without any further delays, let's get started. So looking at the task description, what does this task involves? So in this task what happens is you will hear an audio containing a sentence that may be up to 7 to 14 words long. So the length of the sentence can be 7 to 14 words long as per the PTE's guideline. You will hear the audio in a form of recording, and once the audio stops, after 2 seconds your recording will start, and once your recording starts, once the microphone opens up, you have to repeat the same sentence in the same sequence as it was in the audio. So as you know, it is your speaking task. It will obviously give you points in your speaking section, but as you have to listen to an audio and then you have to repeat it back, so you get a lot of points in listening as well from this task. So this task, repeat sentence, will give you points in your speaking as well as in your listening section, right? So what's different in this task is you won't hear any kind of beep or short tone, right? So in other speaking tasks, what happens is you'll hear a short tone every time your recording will start, but over here you won't hear any beep. What you have to do is you have to keep your eyes always on the screen so that you can get an idea and you can come to know that when your recording is gonna start and you can start repeating your sentence. Another thing what you have to focus on, as soon as the recording starts, you have to start straight away. You don't have to wait for anything, otherwise it can affect your fluency. Why? Because let's say your recording started and you repeated your sentence after 2 or 3 seconds. What happens as a result of that is sometimes when your recording is going on and you don't speak anything, there is a flat tone in your voice, because whenever we record a voice, our pitch goes like up and down, right? But whenever we don't say anything and our recording is going on, there will be a flat tone in our voice, and this will show that you are not fluent and can affect your fluency. So make sure that you start straight away as soon as your recording starts, right? You will have around 7 to 8 seconds to repeat the sentence, but most of the times students, they finish their task repeating the sentence in around 4 to 5 seconds. So what you have to do, once you finish repeating your sentence and you know that you don't have anything else to say, but your recording is still going on and you still have couple of seconds before the recording stops by itself, you yourself have to press the next button. Why? Because if you won't press the next button by yourself and you will wait for the recorder to stop by itself, again there are chances that you will give a flat tone in your voice, right? And there are also chances that can happen as well. What can happen as well, it's very rare but can happen as well, that some of the background noises may get recorded along with your voice. So it's always better to start straight away as soon as your recording starts and press the next button as soon as you know that you don't have anything to repeat from the sentence. This is applicable to all the speaking tasks, whatever you do, doesn't matter if it's read aloud or your describe image or your retell lecture. You have to start straight away as soon as your recorder starts, and you have to press the next button as soon as you know that you don't have anything else to repeat, right? So let's get back to repeat sentence. Now I'll play an audio which will give you a bit of idea that how your sentences will look like in your exam, right? Have a look at it so that you can get a bit of idea.
It is important that you work as a team on this project.
So your audio over here was, it said, it is important that you work as a team on this project. So as soon as you hear it, after 2 or 3 seconds your microphone will open up and you have to repeat the same thing in the same sequence. Now this will become more clear once we go through the rest of the video, right? Let's move on to the marking criteria, and then I'll discuss few of the tips and strategies you can use, and then this task will be 100% clear to you that what you have to do in this task, right? And on what parameters are you awarded points in this task, and how you can score full points in this particular task. Now let's have a look at the marking criteria of this task, that is on what basis and what parameters are you awarded points in this particular section, right? So one repeat sentence carries 13 points. You get altogether you get 13 points from one repeat sentence. You get 5 points for fluency, 5 points for pronunciation, and 3 points for your content, right? Now I'll explain 3 of these parameters in detail, but before that, one very important point to note is that from repeat sentence task you get points both in speaking as well as in listening. A good amount of points are carried on to your listening section as well. So make sure if you are struggling with listening or your listening scores are low, make sure that you perform very well in this task, so that along with your speaking scores, your listening scores can go up as well, right? So 13 points altogether for one repeat sentence, and altogether you will have around 8 to 10 repeat sentence tasks in your exam. So you get 5 points for fluency, right? So how do you get 5 points in fluency? So in PTE particularly, you get 5 points in fluency if you repeat or you say whatever you say, you speak at a natural pace, you go in a flow without hesitating anywhere, without stopping anywhere, without repeating anything, and without correcting yourself, right? You have to follow these 4 strategies, that whatever you say, you go in a flow, you speak at a natural pace, you don't correct yourself, you don't pause anywhere, and you don't give any kind of hesitations. So if you go in a flow at a natural pace without hesitating anywhere, without giving any kind of pauses or without stopping anywhere, and you don't repeat anything or you don't correct yourself, you will straight away get full 5 points in your fluency. So your fluency is basically based on 4 things, which are no hesitations, no pauses, no repetitions, and no corrections. So make sure you follow these 4 things in order to get full 5 points in your fluency. So next comes your pronunciation. So basically pronunciation in PTE means that your speech or your English is clear enough for a native English speaker to understand you without any extra effort. So basically in simple words, it means that you are very clear, right? So to make sure that you are very clear, and as you know that a computer system is gonna mark you, you have to make sure that you are very clear, and you have to be a bit loud as well, so that the computer can understand you very easily, right? So make sure you are loud and you are clear. Whatever you say is clear and is loud. Another key point to make sure that you get good points in your pronunciation is that never ever try to copy or imitate any accent, right? Stay in your natural accent, and PTE software is gonna identify that accent. Now what most of the students think is if they try to imitate or if they speak in some different accent, they'll get more points in pronunciation. That's not the case. See, look at it that way, that this PTE software is basically to test the English of non-native speakers, right? And it actually understands all of the different accents. Doesn't matter what accent it is, but you have to make sure that you are loud enough and clear enough in whatever accent you speak. You have to be loud and clear. Never ever try to copy or imitate any accent. This PTE software is developed for non-native speakers like us, like me as well. So make sure that you stay in your natural accent. As I did in my exam, I was speaking in the same way as I am speaking right now, and I got 90 in speaking. So don't worry about imitating or copying any accent, just stay natural, but make sure you are loud enough and clear enough, right, to get full points in your pronunciation. If you try to copy or imitate any accent, that can hinder the clarity in your voice and you may get less points in your pronunciation. So make sure you are loud enough and clear enough, stay in your natural accent, and you will get good points in your pronunciation. Lastly comes your content. In content you get 3 points from repeat sentence section, right? Now how to get full 3 points in content, it gets a bit tricky over here. So let's have a look at how do you get 3 points in content. So the points basically you get in your content section are completely dependent on the amount or percentage of words you speak from the audio in your answer or in your response. So if you repeat all the words, means 100% of the words in a correct sequence, you will get 3 points out of 3 for your content, right? But in case you missed your sentence and you cannot recall 100% of the content, but if you speak more than 50% of the words but less than 100% of the words in correct sequence, you will get 2 points out of 3. Now for example, let's say if you had this sentence in your audio that it is important that you work as a team on this project, right? But you only remember up till here that it is important that you work as a team. If you don't repeat, or if you don't say on this project, but you only say it is important that you work as a team, as you have said more than 50% of the words but less than 100% of the words, you will get 2 points out of 3 in your content section, right? Again, if you speak less than 50% but more than 25%, you get 1 point out of 3 in your content section. So if you just say it is important that you work, right, this is almost 50%, but you will only get 1 point out of 3 for your content, because to get 2 points or 3 points your content needs to be more than 50%. If you speak only 50% or less than 50%, you will only get 1 point out of 3 in content. So to make sure that you get maximum points out of your content, make sure you repeat as much as of the sentence you can, but in a correct sequence, right? Again, if you don't repeat anything, or you repeat only 1 or 2 words from whole of your sentence, you will get 0 points in your content. So to make sure, again, to get maximum points in your repeat sentence and to get good points in your listening as well, make sure you repeat as much as of the sentence you can from the audio. Now, as you guys have a bit of idea about the marking criteria of this task, let's have a look at 4 different strategies of approaching this particular task, in which we will also cover that if you don't remember completely the whole of the sentence, or if you only remember a single part or few words from the sentence, how you can still get a lot of points in your repeat sentence. So let's have a look at our strategy number 1. So what you have to do in this strategy is that you have to break the sentence into different chunks or different parts, and you have to understand the meaning of the sentence. Why? Because whatever sentence you will get in your exam will actually have some meaning. So if you break the sentence into different parts and try to understand the meaning of the sentence, you will be more than easily able to recall 100% of the sentence, right? So as over here you have got an example on your screen that it is important that you work as a team on this project. So try to break, I have broken it in chunks for you. I've got 4 different parts. It is important that you work as a team on this project. Try to understand the meaning of the sentence once you hear it, and once the audio stops, you will be easily able to recall 100% of the content, right? But make sure whenever the audio stops, you have your eyes on your screen so that you know when the recording is gonna start. As soon as the recording starts straight away, repeat as much as of the sentence you can, and once you know that you don't have anything to say, just press the next button. Don't wait for recorder to stop by itself, right? But in most of the cases, what happens is you get a sentence that is quite long, and sometimes it's very fast, right? And it is a bit difficult for non-native speakers like us to recall 100% of the sentence. So what do we need to do in that case whereby we cannot remember or recall 100% of the content? So let's have a look at that one as well, and this will also be a strategy number 2, right? So what to do in the case whereby you cannot recall or remember 100% of the sentence? So in that case, what you have to do is you have to repeat whatever you can or whatever you remember from the sentence along with the filler at the end. Why you have to add some words at the end or filler at the end? So that you can make your sentence grammatically sound. You can complete a sentence, right? For example, I'll give you an example, and this will make more clear how you have to add a filler at the end. Let's say your sentence was again, it is important that you work as a team on this project, right? But you only remember it is important that you can just say it is important that you play. Now I know it doesn't really make any sense in the real world, but again, as we have added a filler at the end, what will happen is as you are repeating more than 25% of the content but less than 50% of the content, you will still get 1 point out of 3 in your content, right? So 1 point out of 3 in content. But again, if you repeat even 50% of the sentence but you are speaking it fluently, you are going in a flow, and you are loud and clear enough that you are getting full points in fluency and pronunciation as well. If you are loud and clear enough, you get 5 points in pronunciation. If you go in a flow, whatever you say, you repeat it in a flow and without hesitating anywhere, you will also get 5 points in your fluency. So 5 points in fluency, 5 points in pronunciation, right? And 1 point out of 3 in content. still you will end up getting 11 points out of 13 for your repeat sentence task. So even if you don't remember 100% of the sentence, you can just repeat whatever you can recall, and that way you will be easily able to score very good points in your repeat sentence. See, if whatever you speak, make sure that you speak very clearly and in a flow, very fluently, right? So that way you'll get 5 points in your fluency, 5 points in pronunciation. And again, if you cannot remember 100% of the content, still whatever you remember, just say it in a clear and fluent way so that you can get something in content. Even if you get 1 point in content but 5 points in fluency and 5 points in pronunciation, you will still end up getting 11 points out of 13 in whole of your one task. And that way you can score very good points in your speaking as well as in your listening module, right? So that was our strategy number 2, that you have to add fillers at the end so that you can make the sentence grammatically right. You can repeat whatever part of the sentence you can recall so that you are getting full points in fluency and pronunciation as well, and some points in your content as well. As a result, you can still get good scores in your overall speaking and listening. So now let's move on to our strategy number 3, also called our initial strategy. One of the most effective strategy I have ever seen, and I also have used the same strategy while doing my repeat sentence, and one of the strategy whereby I can guarantee you, if you follow this, you will get 100% of your content right. Now most of the students won't even try this, I know that, because they will find it very difficult at the very beginning, right? It is a bit difficult in the very beginning, but once you get used to it and you practice a lot using this strategy, you won't even miss a single word out of your repeat sentence, and you can easily get 13 out of 13 points in each repeat sentence task. So what you have to do in this strategy is that you have to make your notes while your audio is going on. So in your notes, obviously you don't have to write each and everything. What you have to write is, you just have to write the initials. That means first alphabet of each word. Now in the very beginning, it is gonna be very difficult. Why? Because our brain is not used to write initials, and it becomes very difficult to write the initials or recall the initials of the word. But again, once you practice a lot using this one, you will be easily able to do your repeat sentence very properly, and you can use the same strategy in your listening section as well. There's one task called write from dictation. You will be able to use the same strategy in write from dictation as well. So make sure you practice if you want good points, or if you are aiming for 79 above or more than 79, then make sure you practice using this strategy. This will surely help you to get a lot of points in repeat sentence as well as in your write from dictation, right? So let's have a look at the example on your screen. For example, the sentence in the audio was, it is important that you work as a team on this project, right? For this, your notes will look something like this. I is IT, Y W A A T O T P, right? Now it is gonna be very difficult in the beginning. I'll repeat again and again, but please do practice using this one. Practice around 15 to 20 sentences and you won't even miss a single word, I can guarantee that. So what I'll do now is, I'll take off the sentence from the screen and I'll just keep the notes behind. Let's see how many of you will still be able to recall the complete sentence. I hope that most of you were able to recall the complete sentence using the initials you have got from the sentence, right? So now that was the end of our third strategy, and let's move on to the fourth strategy. Our fourth strategy basically focuses on the condition whereby you can only recall or remember 2 to 3 words from the complete sentence. So what most of the students they do is, whereby they only can remember or recall 2 or 3 sentences, or 2 or 3 words, 2 or 3 words from the complete sentence. What they do is, they don't even try and they straight away press the next button. They give a blank response, right? No, you don't have to do like that. What you have to do is, even if you remember 2 or 3 words, you have to make a sentence out of those 2 to 3 words. Why? Because if you leave the sentence or if you leave the task blank, you don't even try it, you won't get anything out of it. it will affect your fluency, pronunciation as well as your content, right? But even if you try, if you make up a sentence out of 2 to 3 words which you remember, there are still chances that you get some points in your content and good points in your fluency and pronunciation, given that whatever you say, you are clear enough and you go in a flow. So make sure never ever leave any task blank. At least try, just make up a sentence out of the words you can recall, and there are still chances that you can get few points, not complete, obviously you won't get very high scores, but still you can get few points in your content as well as some points in your fluency and pronunciation. It won't even take you 3-4 seconds to make up a sentence and say it back, and you may get some points out of it. So always never ever leave any of the task blank, and make sure to get the most out of it. Always give a response to whatever question has been asked to you in PTE. Let's say you only remember the part which is in black text and you don't remember the rest of the part which is in red color, right? So you only remember it is important. Just say it is important that we play regularly. Now again, I know it doesn't really make any sense, but still there are chances that you may get something out of content because you have said around 25% of the content. You may get 1 point out of content because you have said it is important, right? Make sure you say anything, and I have added a filler at the end to make the sentence grammatically sound, grammatically complete, and make a complete sentence, so that you can get some points in fluency and pronunciation as well, along with 1 point in content. So make sure you always give a response whenever you can't recall or remember the complete sentence. Now let's have a look at few of the very common mistakes which a lot of students do make, and you might be making as well. The major mistake includes focusing too much on the content. Now it doesn't mean that you don't have to focus on your content. You do have to focus on your content, but the first thing you need to focus on is on maintaining your fluency and your pronunciation. Let's have a look at the example on your screen. Now in the first sentence, let's say we can only recall the part which is in black color and we don't remember the red color. So if you only remember, it is important that you work. Just say this part in a clear way and without any kind of hesitations, go in a flow. You will get 50%. You have got 50% of your content, so you will get 2 points out of 3 in content. And if you are clear enough and you go in a flow, you will get full points in fluency and pronunciation. So whatever you have got, just say it in a clear way. Now let's say if you only have got it is important that you can just say it is important that you play outside. Now I know it doesn't really make sense, but again, for the first part, that is it is important that you have spoken around less than 50% but more than 25%, right? So you will get 1 point out of 3 in content, but again if you are clear enough and if you go in a flow, you will get 5 points in fluency, 5 points in pronunciation. At the end you will end up getting 11 points out of 13 in whole of your repeat sentence. So it's very important. Focus more on your fluency and pronunciation than on your content. Now let's have a look at the last sentence. For example, if you misread the word team as group, so what do you need to in that case? If you said it is important that you work as a group on this project, it's fine if you have said group instead of team. Don't come back and correct it, because if you will come back and correct it, there will be a lot of repetitions. This will adversely affect your fluency. Whatever you have said, just go in a flow. Don't worry about correcting it. Again, if you will come back and correct it, you may get points in your content, but again you will lose points in your fluency, because it is clearly mentioned in PTE's guideline that you shouldn't repeat anything in order to get full 5 points in your fluency. Now that was the end of the video. I hope that the explanation and the tips and techniques made it very clear for you guys that how you have to solve and approach this particular task. If you will still have any doubts, you can contact us anytime on the numbers given below on your screen, and we will be more than happy to assist you anywhere and at any time. At last, if you like the video, hit the like button, share the video and hit the subscribe button. Along with the subscribe button, please make sure that you hit the bell icon so that you can be notified whenever we upload a new video or whenever we conduct a live webinar or mock exam on YouTube. Alongside, you can also like our Facebook page where we will be regularly posting a lot of material and updates related to your PTE exam. The link to our Facebook page is in the description box below. And now that will be the end of the video. Thank you very much for watching this video till the very end. I'll see you guys very soon in the next video. Thank you very much.